Calvin Coolidge had an incredible record. He was the first one to lower taxes and find that there was a budget surplus. He was interested in being frugal. He was interested in cutting spending. And he was one of the first presidents to actually do that. He was the first president to achieve 4% growth, which is a goal that now we only dream of. Less government means more prosperity, and he took this very seriously. Every week he met with his budget chief. He was looking for different ways to cut. He was even interested in something as small as these postal bags that mailmen used to carry their mail in. He found out that you could save money by replacing the white and blue striped bag with a gray canvas bag. He had clubs and goals for each of the federal agencies. The 2% club for those who cut 2% of spending. And when that was done, he had a 1% club. And when that was done, he had a woodpecker club for agencies that could chip away at spending and therefore spend less of the taxpayers' valuable money. The budgeting during Coolidge's time was a real budget. They cut expenditures, they succeeded in having a federal surplus, and they reduced the amount of debt. And they did this by cutting taxes so that Americans had more in their pockets and they could see that they got to keep more than they did before. I mean, think about it. At the beginning of the 1920s, the tax rate was above 70%. In 1923, it was 58%. By the time Coolidge left, it was 25%. The 1920s was a very innovative decade, and there's nothing wrong with having a good time when you have more money. So there's nothing wrong with flappers, and there's nothing wrong with going out, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying yourself if you have the funds to do that. And what President Coolidge did was enable the economic growth that enabled people to have the money to spend, to have better houses, to have more bathrooms in their houses, to start to buy cars. And these were very positive things for the economy. President Coolidge was a very humble man. He decided that he was not going to run again for office in 1928, even though he was tremendously popular, because he thought that there should be more turnover of presidents and that it was better for the country to have a new person. History might think differently, that perhaps things would have been better off if he had run again and that if he had another 4 years. He also didn't talk very much, which I think is an admirable quality these days. He would not have been on Twitter several times a day or on Instagram, and he spent a lot of time thinking and planning as to what budget cuts could be and what budget cuts could happen and how to make lower tax rates go through the legislature. He also made good use of not only the veto but the pocket veto. The pocket veto meant that the legislation could not be brought up again. So he used the legislative process to his advantage, even though he didn't talk about it very much. And he was still operating the levers of power behind the curtain, so to speak. I would describe President Coolidge as thoughtful. He spent a lot of time thinking about what to do. He consulted his father, John Coolidge. He talked to his wife, Grace Coolidge, and he talked to his trusted advisors, Mellon and Lord. And that way he got enough ideas and strength, which were also integral to him, but he got support and advice to move forward. We need to learn about President Coolidge because of his achievements and because we can do it again. We can cut taxes. We can cut the budget. We can have an environment that results in large numbers of patents and innovations. We can have an environment with few regulations. We can have an environment where the president vetoes bills that he does not like and where he doesn't care about personal popularity. And if we did this in the 1920s, we can do it again. But many people just don't know about the 1920s. They don't know that when you cut taxes to 25%, you actually received a lot more in revenue. Many people don't believe that that can be possible. And it's important that they learn history so that we can repeat it. Some people say you have to learn history so not to repeat it. But another reason to learn history is so you can repeat it.